G'day, I'm Charlie Pryde.
And I'm Jennifer Pryde. Welcome to our YouTube channel, Pride of the Villages.
Well, this video will highlight our recent cruise to the Galapagos Islands. We did spend a couple of days in the capital of Quito before going out to the islands, but we're going to leave those details for another video. So what this video is going to do is basically, it's going to be broken down into three parts. First, we're going to give you an introduction to the animals, and then we're going to talk about the excursions that we took to see the wildlife. And lastly, how we got out to the Galapagos Islands from Quito, and also life aboard the ship. Celebrity Cruise Lines has 3 ships that sail in the Galapagos Islands: the 100-passenger Flora, the 48-passenger Xpedition, and the 16-passenger Exploration. These ships conduct 4 different island loop itineraries: the inner loop, the outer loop, the southern loop, and the northern loop. We did the 7-night northern loop itinerary on board the 48-passenger Celebrity Xpedition. The Galapagos Islands are located 605 miles off the west coast of Ecuador in the Pacific Ocean. Formed by millions of years of volcanic activity, the group consists of 19 main islands. While the older islands look like a tropical paradise, the youngest islands, Isabella and Fernandina, are still being formed. While Charles Darwin did not discover the islands, his published works certainly brought them worldwide recognition. During his 1835 voyage on the survey ship the HMS Beagle, Darwin studied the geology and biology of the islands. When specimens of birds were analyzed on his return to England, it was found that many apparently different kinds of birds were actually species of finches, which were unique to individual islands. These facts were crucial in Darwin's development of his theory of natural selection explaining evolution. Besides the 13 species of finches, there are a number of endemic species only found in the Galapagos Islands, like flightless cormorants and marine iguanas. It is these unique species and the abundance of other wildlife that makes the Galapagos Islands such a special location for expeditionary cruises, where you could see the animals up close through a variety of excursions. So let's introduce you to some of the animals you will see. Not to be outdone by its land and air inhabitants, undersea life is marvelous as well. There are three primary means by which Celebrity cruise guests view the animal and plant life: hikes and walks, zodiac and kayak rides, or shallow and deep water snorkeling. Each evening before dinner, the cruise director will highlight the excursion options for the next day. You will then sign up for the excursions you would like to participate in. All the information will further be displayed on the video screen located outside of guest services. There are typically two levels of hikes walks based on activity level. All transportation to the excursions is by Zodiac rubber boats. Life jackets are worn at all times when on the Zodiacs, and the crew will assist you in boarding the boats. There will be a driver and a naturalist with you on the Zodiac when going on an excursion. During the cruise director's initial briefing, they will cover the procedures for dry and wet landings on the islands.
Hiking boots are good sneakers or so to be walking on rocks or dry terrain. Wet landing means, as you can see in the picture, that we're gonna go to the beach, that we're going to get our feet wet, maybe up to our knees, depending on the conditions, maybe up to just our water shoes. That would be perfect.
Dry landings are when the Zodiac uses a man-made platform to land its guests, as you see here. These landings are nothing more than stepping off and on the Zodiac. On wet landings, you disembark the Zodiac at the front side into ankle or knee-deep water. Depending on wave conditions, the Zodiacs will move around a bit, and getting back on can be a little bit more difficult than getting off, but the crew members will help you with this.
Hey Jen, I got that on video.
Hikes and walks can require varying degrees of physical activity, and that will be made clear during the excursion briefings. The hike to the top of Bartolome Island was the steepest hike we made. As you ascend, the guide narrates the geology and plant life you are seeing.
Here, we are very close to sea level, so that's not really high here. So we don't have any problem to breathe compared with the mountain or with the inland. Hollywood Rock. That's Pinzon Island. Pinzon. And then more to the left.
There are several rest stops made to catch your breath before reaching the top.
Good?
Very good.
Alrighty.
Are you happy to be here?
Yes.
Genovese, known as the Bird Island, was another climb up, to walk along the cliffs to view different boobies and the short-eared owl. Now, the cruise ship does have wooden walking sticks that you can use to assist in negotiating rough terrain, or you can bring your own, as Jennifer did. Beach and inland island walks are much easier and consist of walking on sand or hard-packed dirt. Being that these are volcanic islands, you will encounter where an old lava flow meets the sandy beach. In this case, just watch your footing, especially in areas that may have some fissures in the lava rock. The naturalist guide will navigate you onto the safest paths, but expect to encounter some wildlife in the middle of these paths. In this case, the guide will direct how to navigate around the wildlife, especially if you have 100 marine iguanas blocking your way forward. Now, you may be approached by wildlife such as this baby sea lion who decided to take a nap next to us. Just remember that as cute as this may seem, follow the park rules and don't touch the wildlife for their safety and yours. When the island's shoreline does not afford a landing, such as these steep cliff faces, then wildlife can be viewed from a zodiac or kayaks. Animals such as these blue-footed boobies, flightless cormorants, and penguins live amongst these cliff faces.
Bye-bye, Booby. Thank you for showing up today.
Just incorporate, living creatures also in their nest. Yes, we have seen the seahorses too. They just came with the sea. Another one underneath. I think it's just finishing the molting period. When the penguins molt, oh look, the vegetation again, vegetation. Woo, beautiful.
We had a zodiac arrive in this mangrove-lined bay, which was a breeding habitat for green sea turtles and a sanctuary for juvenile sea lions. We also had an unexpected encounter with a pod of dolphins on our way to a zodiac excursion. Kayaks are another means to view the animals along these island shorelines. These are tandem kayaks, which are towed to a launch location. Guests board them from the Zodiac, and a naturalist will lead the group on a very quiet and enjoyable excursion. Snorkeling in the wildlife's aquatic environment provides a unique perspective for viewing their activities. The ship will outfit you with a mask, snorkel fins, and a wetsuit. The water temperature for our snorkeling excursions was about 70 degrees. We did bring our own dry bag for items we did not want to get wet. The first type of snorkeling is shallow water. Entering from a beach such as the red sand of Rabida, you can expect to see a variety of fish, sea stars, and the sea lions will come in and out of the water. The second type, for experienced snorkelers only, is a deep water, where you enter straight from the Zodiac into water that is anywhere from 10 to 100 feet deep to the seafloor. The Zodiac will always be in close proximity to the naturalist-led group, and you can reboard at any point in the excursion. Expect to drift along cliff-face shorelines, which gives you the best opportunity to see penguins, green sea turtles, sharks, and sea lions up close. Also, don't be surprised if you are approached by curious juveniles as they discover who you are and what those fins you are wearing.
Right behind you.
Young one, very curious.
picture. I was so busy editing.
There is one day of excursions that is common to all the Celebrity Loop itineraries, and that is a day spent on Santa Cruz Island. The island is the Galapagos main human population center, but it too has an abundance of wildlife, especially the number of Galapagos tortoises. You will arrive in Porto Ayora by Zodiac. This time of year, the tortoises are concentrated in the highlands, and you will take a bus to a ranch where the tortoises free range. You will be issued a pair of boots to wear, which will save your shoes from mud and tortoise scat. After an introductory briefing by the naturalist, you will walk through a field viewing the tortoises feeding and just doing what tortoises do, which is nothing very quickly. After the walk, you are treated to a lunch and entertained by a local dance troupe, which is very talented. Lunch completed, we returned to Porto Ayora and visited the Darwin Center. Besides having a museum and informational displays, this also functions as a captive breeding center. After the Darwin Center, we had free time to walk into town. Other than the airport departure, this time in port is your only opportunity to buy Galapagos souvenirs on the cruise. Now that we have introduced you to the wildlife and covered the different excursions to see the animals, let's talk about how Celebrity got us to the Galapagos, the layout of the ship, and meals, drinks, etc. From the Ecuadorian capital of Quito, Celebrity chartered an Avianca, an aircraft for the cruise passengers and rotating staff, for a 2-hour flight to the Galapagos. As you can see, the seating was very spacious, and there was a lunch served. Upon arrival in Baltra, our check bags were transported directly to the ship cabin. We were responsible for any carry-on. In the terminal, we went through the National Park Service Desk and Agricultural Control. We were then met by the cruise director in the Celebrity Lounge, who formed us into groups for a short bus ride to the pier.
We're very close to the ocean, as you can see. Here we go.
Here we donned life jackets for the first time and boarded the Zodiac for our transport to the ship. Upon arrival on board, we were provided a welcome drink and received our safety briefing.
Life jacket over your head and close the Velcro. Fasten strap around your waist.
After the briefing, we were provided our cabin keys. Our cabin was on deck 4, number 406. This was a premium ocean view stateroom. Nice surprise was the power strip for our electronics. Wi-Fi on board is included, and it's rather touch and go as far as connectivity. Provided were emergency rain ponchos, sunscreen, and a bottle of wine. Convenient was that the Discovery Lounge, where the briefings occurred, was also located on deck 4.
Coming in and out, especially from the platform.
On the same deck at the back of the ship is the Beagle Grill. This is where I would get my first coffee of the day. They also had pastries and fruit available. Breakfast and lunch was served buffet style in Darwin's restaurant on deck 3. Breakfast was a combination of cold and hot entrees with an egg station. Lunch buffet would have a national theme such as Ecuadorian, Spanish, Italian, and Tex-Mex. There was also the lunch option of getting a burger at the Beagle Grill. Dinner was typically in Darwin's restaurant, ordering off a 3-course menu. Jennifer and I really took advantage of the locally caught seafood options, and they were all fantastic. Then dessert was added, of course. One evening, we ate dinner on the back deck. Beautiful night under the stars. Another evening, everyone was treated to a barbecue dinner with great meats and seafood, including local lobster. Between meals, there was always snacks available at the Beagle Grill. Additionally, we would find a fruit plate in our stateroom upon return from the morning excursions. Jennifer enjoyed a cup of hot chocolate upon return from a deep water snorkel. All alcohol and non-alcohol drinks are inclusive in the fare. The bar menu is substantial, and besides Jen's favorite Miami Vice and my mojitos, we have a cocktail of the day like the blue and red-footed boobies. There is no disposable bottled water on board in order to prevent plastic contamination of the environment. So Celebrity provides these reusable water bottles that can be filled at several stations located by the bar. There is a small Xpedition shop where you can purchase excursion shirts, pants, and hats. As customary with expeditionary trips, entertainment is limited. There was a captain's toast with introduction of the ship's officers.
A person that you...
Note there is a medical doctor on board. One of the highlight events is sailing across the equator.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Congratulations!
They have a very good keyboard player on board, and one night the crew put on a variety show. Trivia and crossword puzzle contests were conducted. There was a PhD marine scientist on board. Dr. Ellen Prager is an advisor to Celebrity, and she visits the ship several times a year.
Other science books, which tend to be high school and above. I've written some young children's books, like 4 to 7 years old. And then one of my favorite things.
A library located in the lounge can provide reading material for those that desire it. I don't know if the fitness room was used. We didn't, as we got plenty of exercise on the excursions. There is a jacuzzi on deck 6 for those wanting to soak any sore muscles from the excursions. If you are wondering how they move the Zodiacs from island to island, they use a crane to put them on deck 5 and unload them at the next excursion location. A nice surprise on the last day was the cruise director's summary of our trip, which included a slide presentation of which we received a copy of on the thumb drive. While at anchor, waiting for departure to the airport, there was an accumulation of fish around the ship, and we were treated to a spectacle of diving boobies, ravenous pelicans, and a school of Galapagos sharks. Our last animal encounter was at the airport, as a group of Darwin finches took advantage of a customer's bread scraps. If you are wondering what was the makeup of passengers and crew, the passengers were mostly American, with several couples from Great Britain, Canada, and Australia. The crew was Ecuadorian, and all of them that interacted with the guests spoke good English, and we also had a chance to practice our Spanish as well. A special thanks to the captain and ship's officers for keeping us safe on the water, to the cruise director and naturalists for the great excursions, to the very skilled Zodiac drivers, the galley team for making the delicious food, to the wait and bartending staff for their service, and lastly, to the very attentive hotel and hospitality staff that took care of our stateroom. In closing, we hope you too get a chance to visit the Galapagos Islands. We know it's not the cheapest or the easiest destination to get to, but it is a once-in-a-lifetime experience and should be on everyone's bucket list. So that's all for now. We hope that you have a great day, and we'll see you on the next video.